future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
JP here at ESPN Pensacola. We are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body that Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. We made it to another Friday afternoon, and guess what? We got football, and we got tons of football for you. High school football, college football, NFL, anything and everything. So, you know what? We got plenty to talk about today, a little bit of time. Not going to waste any time. As we always start off our show, we'll continue to do so. Thanking our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. Obviously, what they do goes without saying, but we love to talk about it. And we love to give a shout-out to those folks. I know a couple are listening today. Appreciate it, guys out there. Look, what you guys do is amazing. And I think in a community that's a military community, we understand service and respect and things like that. We love our military here in Pensacola and the surrounding areas. We've got bases all over the place. And you know what? We're happy to have those folks here. They're from out of town. But once again, look, we thank our first responders, healthcare workers, and what they do. Obviously, with Hurricane Sally, COVID-19, things like that, they get highlighted. But these folks do this every single day no matter what's going on. And putting themselves out there, protecting us, getting us back to normal. The stories that I hear are scary, I'll be honest with you, some of the things they have to go through. But you know what? They do it, and they love their job. They love protecting people. And I think, to be honest with you, that's amazing. That is that takes a real person, takes a lot of guts. It's something that it's not for everybody. So, you know, we appreciate those folks, and I know there's a lot of unrest in our country, obviously. We can't just ignore it, but we don't support evil people, but we do support the great people and our law enforcement, our firefighters, EMT personnel, nurses, doctors, all those folks. We thank you so, so much for what you do. So, look, first things first, though, like we said, we have a ton to get to today. So, Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Good to be with you, JP, and look forward to today. As always, I second your thanks that go out to all those people and sincerely have a tremendous amount of gratitude toward them.
Absolutely. And, Coach, we've talked about it. We could talk about it for hours, but you know what? I think even those folks were like, hey, let's talk some football. So that's what we're going to do real quick before I get into obviously what happened last night and some big stories going on in the NFL and college football. Our Week 4 contest is live for Talk Football with Coach K right here. Is college picks and NFL picks. Now, if you're not familiar with it, go to our ESPN Pensacola Facebook page. I posted it about 30 minutes ago, I believe. Scroll through there, find both of them. Make sure you get both of them now. Go on there and text it. Text your picks. Now, I've got 10 games listed right there in a tiebreaker game. Make sure you add the score. We would have had possibly a different winner if somebody would have added that tiebreaker score, but they didn't. So the other score won. But moving on here, look, 10 games. It takes you just a couple minutes, NFL, college, and you got a chance to win free range time from our proud sponsor, Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Tom and Chance and those guys will take care of you. Let them know we sent you. They'd love to hear it. They love the show as well. And a $20 gift certificate to Hot Spot Barbecue, like I always say. You will smell it before you see it right there on 9th Avenue and Larua Street. So, look, great prizes. And all you have to do is text your picks to 850-623-1330. That's our studio line. And I'll get it right here up on my computer. I'll see it, write it down, take note of it. We'll see how the games play out, and hopefully you win. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and all you have to do is just, pick some teams. That's it. We all love doing that anyway. Coach going to jump into quite a bit here. Obviously, real quick, an update on the Steelers and Titans. It has now been rescheduled for Week 7 like we thought it might be. That obviously was the Tennessee Titans bye week. The Steelers and the Ravens were supposed to play that week, but now because the Steelers and the Ravens have that bye week on Week 8, they both have the same bye week, they moved that game to Week 8. So there you go. We'll have the Titans and Steelers 12 o'clock on October 25th, Week 7. So there you go. A couple things before we get to last night's game. Real quick, Green Bay Packer fans, as they're taking on the Falcons this week, Davante Adams does not look like he is probably going to be back with that hamstring issue he's been dealing with, the something he dealt with last year as well. Allen Lazard underwent core muscle surgery, so he's going to be out at least a month. That's not good news when Aaron Rodgers, number 1 and number 2, is out. Hey, it would have been nice if they would have drafted another wide receiver so they could have some help here. But regardless, so Falcons fans, no better time than the present to try to take advantage of somebody. And guess what? You're getting Julio Jones back. So, Coach, real quick before we get into the game last night, with knowing that Allen Lazard is out and Davante Adams is out, would you pick the Falcons over the Packers, or are you still going with Aaron Rodgers?
Wow, that's a great question. I tell you what, it takes this handicap for Atlanta to win this game. But when you take the top 2 receivers, and I would dare anybody to name another receiver on Green Bay's football team, and then you go play a National Football League game against an outstanding offense. Now, keep in mind, Atlanta will score, and they'll put points on the board. So, I almost have to change. I think I took Green Bay not knowing that Lazard, that both their receivers are going to be out. But you almost got to say Atlanta with that development.
Yeah, I mean, look, the receivers, I could name them off and you would have no idea who they were. So we've seen this with the Eagles before. It's just not a good look. And for Aaron Rodgers, as good as he is, he's still got to have some kind of help. And I think, look, the Falcons, like you said, very good point, the fact that the offense is extremely well. I mean, look, they've got Julio Jones back. That's one of the best receivers in the league and has been for quite some time. So I'm going to go with the Falcons as well. I know the defense for Green Bay is good, but I think the Falcons need a win so bad. We've seen them backs up against the wall before. I think they pull this one out. Hey, no better time than the present, like I said. Coach, getting to last night's game, the Broncos and the Jets. Boy, fireworks everywhere. I guess if you're into this kind of thing, whatever it is. 37-28, though. The Broncos took down the Jets, pulled away late. Coach, Brett Rippon, not horrible, but he got the job done. 19-31, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Sam Darnold did everything it seemed like he could. Still, things are not matching up. It's not good when, once again, Sam Darnold's your leading rusher. He had 6 carries. He had that long touchdown run. But 6 carries, 84 yards, 1 touchdown. Melvin Gordon with that touchdown late. I'll be honest with you, both these teams, Coach, not very good right now, dealing with injuries and everything going on. This Denver Bronco team has been littered with injuries. I mean, we're talking about Von Miller and all these other guys, Cortland Sutton, Drew Lock at quarterback. Not a good look, but you know what? Battling. And I love that last touchdown by Melvin Gordon. Before I turn it over to you, Coach, Brett Rippon getting out there and laying the block, helping his running back score. I love that. Now, you don't want your quarterback to do that all the time. Obviously, he'll get blown up, but I just love it. Brett Rippon getting an opportunity there and taking advantage of it. So, Coach, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, they had 2 bad football teams. Really, nobody's as bad as the Jets. They're just totally uncoordinated as a football team. And that's in every phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams. They're just not a good football team. The intangibles are very evident that they're disjointed there as well. Denver, and missing so many people. And they're just they're not a quality football team right now. So it was like we said going into the game last night. It was who loses, not who wins.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Coach. And obviously the question now is, look, the Jets said that they weren't going to fire Adam Gase this season. I don't know how much you believe that, but I mean, when you look at this, just once again, the Jets had every opportunity to win that football game, playing a depleted Denver team. It's still Denver; they have players over there, but once again, you're the Jets, and I don't know, Coach. If you look at this Adam Gase situation, should he be let go right now, or should he be allowed to finish the season?
Well, their MO is not firing during the season. I think the last time they did that was like 1975. So their MO is to wait until after the season's over. Last year, if you try to set a precedent somewhere, last year they came back, finished the season, I think, with a 6-2 run. So they're still hanging on that. I think that he'll be gone after the season, but they could. I mean, if they get much worse, JP, they continue to look that bad and lose games, they may be forced to do something. But right now, if they can just hang in there a little, they may make it through the year.
The only bad thing about this is, I hate firing coaches midseason. I've never been an NFL coach. You have, Coach. You understand. It's not as easy as just fire the guy. There's a lot that's involved with that. But once again, you've got the Cardinals coming up, the Chargers, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Patriots. Things don't get easier. Then you get the Dolphins twice, and once again, then you still have to face the Seahawks, the Rams, the Browns, and the Pats. Like, this is going to be a bad year. I think at this point, hey, they may be looking for Trevor Lawrence, and maybe that's – I don't know. I mean – I like Trevor Lawrence more than I like Sam Darnold, but I also think there's a lot of disorganization in that franchise right now. But I didn't like Sam Darnold going to the Jets to start off with some other opportunities they had. But, hey, it is what it is. Moving on here, though, Coach. Clemson freshman running back DeMarcus Bowman. He was the ESPN's number 23 recruit in the 2020 class. He entered the NCAA transfer portal. He was rated as the number 4 running back in that class, by the way. And, look, he got some carries. He recorded 9 carries for 32 yards in their first 2 games there, but ranked 3rd on the team behind Travis Etienne and backup Darian Rinker. Once again, Coach, this is a guy, by the way, he chose Clemson over Florida, Georgia, and Florida State. And he's a Florida kid. A lot of people, Coach, believe that this young man was going to pick Florida until kind of a last-second type thing and went over to Clemson. So the Florida Gators may have a 5-star back coming and jumping in their lap. So I think for Clemson, they'll be okay. And for the Florida Gators, well, that's just fantastic news. Dan Mullen is already on top of this. But, Coach, when you look at this, I know that, DeMarcus Bowman, once again, there's a lot that can go on with this whole transfer portal. It's going to take some time. But the young man, fantastic running back. Any reason to believe maybe he won't go to Florida at this point?
Well, I have to say up front, JP, I'm not I don't care much for the transfer rule, to be honest with you. I think when you sign with a college, you go to a college, you should go there and stay there. Now, I know there are other things involved. People have, and there are good examples of people transferred from the school and doing great, like Joe Burrow. And I can certainly understand that. I think that proves me wrong, certainly on occasion. And there are others. But I think just wholesale people changing schools is not good. It's not good for the sport. So anyway, I would expect that Florida would be first on his list. But heck, you never know with these kids now. You just never know, JP.
Yes.
So I'd hate to put any money on it, that's for sure.
No, I would not. And, to give you a great example, look, Boobie Whitlow from Auburn, 1,000-yard rusher, great SEC running back for him, goes to, I believe, Eastern Illinois, or Western Illinois, one of those Illinois up there, FCS team. And you have no, what in the world, this young man could have played for anybody in the Power 5. But, hey, it is what it is. Nonetheless, the young man has left, and he is leaving. So Clemson will be just fine. This is a really good Clemson team, and we're going to talk a little bit about them here later on in the show when we break down the college football games. But we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some changes in the SEC power rankings. We'll get to some of the biggest teams around here. We'll talk some Florida State football as well. I'll get to everything college and NFL, and don't forget, we're going to touch on some high school football as well. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Hi, I'm Technical Sergeant Nolan Bang, one of your active duty Air Force recruiters. The Air Force is a great way to jumpstart your future career. Let us provide you with a technical trade, pay for the degree you want, and give you some job security with a locked-in paycheck. You will get all this while having the ability to travel. We're currently looking to hire aircraft mechanics, linguists, and other career fields. For more information, please visit us at airforce.com, download the AIM High app, or give me a call at 334-451-4177. Thank you.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Here's your quick Week 5 top 25 in college football. At number 1 is the Clemson Tigers, followed by Alabama at 2, Florida at 3, and Georgia 4. Notre Dame checks in at number 5 with Ohio State 6, Auburn 7, Miami 8, and Texas number 9. Penn State is 10 with UCF 11, North Carolina 12, Texas A&M, and Oregon 13 and 14. Cincinnati at 15, Mississippi State 16, Oklahoma State 17, with Oklahoma, Wisconsin, LSU 18, 19, and 20. Tennessee is 21 with BYU at 22, Michigan 23, Pittsburgh 24, and Memphis 25.
Hey, this is Jay Williams. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Yes, we've made it to another Friday here in 2020, and we are blessed. Let's just say that, to say the very least. But, Coach, obviously, look, we're going to get into some of the college games here coming up. I want to talk about the SEC power rankings real quick as we move along here. When you look at the SEC, look, we're so excited the SEC comes back, and everybody I know is waiting on the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and things like that. But we've got the ACC, we've got the Big 12. They're there. They may not be playing up to par, or are they? But the SEC coming back last week was intriguing, and we got some great games, and we got some great look. It's an all SEC schedule. I think that is fantastic. I wish they would do this all the time, but I know it's probably not going to happen. It is what it is. It's much like the college football playoff expanding. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. But moving on here, Coach, number 1 in our SEC power rankings. Now, I've got Alabama number 1. Once again, this is an Alabama team that is loaded. Mac Jones looked good, going 18 of 24 passing, 2 scores, 249 yards. Najee Harris had 3 touchdowns. Against a Missouri team, the Tide defense, look, they held them to 2 yards per carry and 6.5 yards per throw. I mean, Missouri came on late, when the backups and stuff were in there. Coach, when you look at this matchup, obviously they're playing Texas A&M this week. So, a great statement if A&M wants to say they're for real. I don't see it happening. But the Alabama Crimson Tide, Coach, number 1, agree or disagree?
Oh, no question about this. Doesn't really warrant much conversation. Alabama's number 1, yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. There you go. That's all you have to say. I went way too far into that. But anyway, number 2, I have the Florida Gators. And, yes, Coach, they're my new team now, obviously with Oregon and the Pac-12 and whatever the heck they're doing over there. I don't care. The Gators, look, once again, we haven't been – and I'll go back to this. We haven't been able to say they've had a quarterback that you have said consistent and a guy that you go out there and probably the players go, we're going to win this football game with this guy. Since Tim Tebow, and it's Kyle Trask, and a much different style quarterback. Tebow, a great runner, check down pass, whatever you want to call it, tough son of a gun out there. Kyle Trask, though, this young man can throw the football all over the yard. And look, 6 touchdowns last week, 4 of them to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is just not fair. Just not even fair. But, Coach, the defense looked good enough. Hey, they played Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is going to score some points. But I tell you what, that offense has looked as good as we have been able to see it in quite some time, Coach. You being an alum there, Coach, who do you got number 2?
Oh, Florida, without question, is number 2. And I said this yesterday, and I will say it again today. Now, that was first game, qualify totally. That was one game, first game of the year. But Kyle Trask looked like a Heisman Trophy quarterback. He certainly fits the bill of an NFL quarterback. He checks all the boxes, JP. He's 6'5", 230, got a rocket arm. He can throw the ball all over the field. He's got good accuracy. He's a very bright young man. He's got a lot of football savvy about him. He's a great teammate. He's a good leader. Just putting, and I know some of that from talking with people down there about some of his habits and some of the intangibles, so I can say that. Don't know the kid, never been around him. But having talked to some people down there, watch how he handles himself. He's what you're looking for in a quarterback. So, and then they've got Tony and Copeland and some other people that can make some plays. I'm not worried about their defense. I think Grantham will come up with another good defense. I think over the time that they've been there, maybe the most consistent part of their football team has been their defense and the job that they have done, those defensive coaches have done week in, week out. So, Florida would be number 2 without question.
Moving on here, number 3, Coach, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. Obviously, did not look good in the first half as they were down 7-5 to Arkansas Razorbacks, Felipe Franks, all those guys, 7-5. But that defense is as good as there is, Coach. We know we've known that, we knew that, and nothing has changed for Georgia. However, DeJuan Mathis started the game at quarterback. They had to swap to Stetson Bennett after the first half, and boy, he gave them quite the spark as they went on to win a lopsided 37-10. So looking at this, Coach, obviously, whether it's Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels, JT Daniels, I know he got cleared this week, or he got cleared Monday. People need to remember this young man has been practicing this entire time. He's just waiting on clearance. So he's been practicing. He's going to be good to go. I don't know whether he's going to start or not. I can imagine maybe if he doesn't start, maybe he'll come in a little bit later. But I tell you what, no room to take some time off here as they got Georgia coming up. But once again, Coach, I got the Georgia Bulldogs number 3 in the SEC.
Well, I guess I can buy that, but I'm buying a lot of that on reputation and what they did last year and the year before. And the year before, that has to carry over. They got a good program. There's no doubt about that. And there's certainly some reliance on that going forward. So I can understand and would accept Georgia being number 3. I still have questions, and I will repeat this again. I have questions about any team that loses 4 out of 5 of their starting offensive linemen and a quarterback who was very productive for them over a long period of time. It's tough to replace, very tough to replace. So I think they've still got to overcome that. Yeah, they'd have to. I think you'd have to call them the number 3 team in the league.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 4 or 5 starting offense. The offensive line looked bad. I mean, they did not look good against Arkansas. And look, Arkansas is not world beaters, so we'll see what happens. Once again, the defense is as good as there is, and that's what they're going to survive on. We know that. But looking at this, hey, we'll see what happens this week. No slouches once again. My number 4 team, Coach, there's a couple teams here that I'm going back and forth, but I'm going to put the Auburn Tigers here. Now, obviously Kentucky was a tough game. I liked what I saw out of Bo Nix, and I've been harsh on Bo Nix, but I've been harsh on Bo Nix for a couple of reasons. The lack of consistency, and I think part of that is play calling. I mean, let this young man throw the football. We saw him throw the football against Kentucky, and he looked good, throwing for 3 touchdowns. And you know what? The rushing attack for Auburn scares me. It really does. It was almost non-existent. And once again, I said this earlier, guys like Boobie Whitlow, who were their running back last year, their 1,000-yard back, they let walk. For some reason, he transferred out. I don't know what was going on, but you know what? It is what it is, and they need a running game big time. But once again, going against Georgia this week is going to be tough. But for Auburn, the football team themselves, I was impressed with that defensive front. Once again, Kevin Steele just continues to put out a really good defense. They continue to recruit well. But, Coach, I got the Auburn Tigers, number 4 in my power rankings. What say you?
I would have to agree with you, JP, on that. I think I like Bo Nix. I think they've got a chance to be a very good offensive football team. But I think they've got to play to Bo Nix's strengths. And you're right, it is dropping back there and making a team defend 53.5 yards in width and up to 50, 55 yards in depth. And he can do that. So they need to take advantage of that. Now, defensively, they look pretty stout. There are a number of people that have, as would normally be the case, they overreacted. They had, I'm sure, last week before the season started, they had Mississippi State ranked last in the league, and now they've got them, some other polls have them ranked 4th in the league. So, no, I think Auburn would be my pick there.
Yeah, and going to number 5 here, Coach, this is actually I'll be honest. I was excited. It was crazy. There was a lot of parity and all this other stuff in college football. But at Mississippi State, I've got Mississippi State at 5 with Texas A&M at 6, and here's why. So Vanderbilt, we see teams like Texas A&M, and you have those games opening the season. It's a close game, but Vanderbilt was 1 play away. I'll make that very clear. The score was 17-12. They were 1 play away from winning that game. We see teams like that win by 10 or whatever it is. Texas A&M, you go back and you watch the film, boy, they just looked bad. Kellen Mond fumbled twice on rushes of his own. I mean, once again, I've never been a big Kellen Mond fan. I don't think he's a guy that can take them to the promised land and truly compete for an SEC title. Jimbo Fisher can get talent there. I mean, they should be getting talent, competing in the state of Texas, and they're in the SEC, so that gives them a jump ahead of University of Texas and other teams like that. But I've got to put Mississippi State for right now. Now, this can obviously change this week with how Alabama and Texas A&M turns out. But Mississippi State impressed me. KJ Costello, once again, throwing for 600 yards. The defense played well enough. I know that LSU was a team that was reeling with all the different changes, and I think LSU will get things back together. But nonetheless, Coach, I'm going to put Mississippi State number 5 and Texas A&M number 6. What do you think? You there, Coach?
Yeah, I said I'm going to shock you a little bit here with how I think they fall in place. Based on the way that they've improved and played, and I got to go back to last year, and then on the road this year, winning a significant opening game. I've got Tennessee in there.
All right.
Ahead of Mississippi State and Texas A&M. I would put Tennessee in there at 5, and then I think I would come with right now with Mississippi State, because I think they're going to be a factor all year with that offense they have, and then Texas A&M after that.
Hey, I am down with that. You know what, Coach, you're right. Mississippi State, I think it's important. Starting out on the right, obviously losing a couple games to teams they should not have lost to. Jarrett Garantano, I'm not a believer in Jarrett Garantano, but I am a believer in this team when it comes to the way they can run the football. And defensively, they did well enough. And by the way, the quarterback for South Carolina, Colin Hill, look, Helinski's a great quarterback. The fact that he started over him, and now in Mike Bobo's offense, I like Mike Bobo's offense. I do. I think South Carolina is going to be a better team. They can only be so good with certain people at the helm. But, hey, you know what? I think getting that win is tremendous, and we'll see what happens with it moving forward. So, you know what? I'm not going to argue with that. And, Coach, you know what? That was my number 7 team right there. And then, look, 5, 6, 7, you can be interchangeable at this point. Number 8, I got to give it. I got to go LSU with number 8 here. With LSU, Coach, obviously a lot of different changes. Miles Brennan got a little bit better. Look, this team settled down. They didn't have Derek Stingley, which, you know what, I think does make a difference. The sophomore corner who's going to play on Sundays. He is fantastic. But I think these guys, it was shell shock. They weren't ready to play. Maybe they were. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. But Mississippi State was a team that was ready to go and looked like they had been playing for quite a few weeks when it looked like LSU was trying to find themselves. So I'm not ready to sell on LSU. I'm not saying they're going to be horrible, but nonetheless, I'm going to drop them to 7th here, Coach.
Yeah, and let me tell you why they had the game that they did. And I'm going to say it again. I can't believe that any team could lose 17 starters and a quarterback who just did more than any quarterback's ever done in the history of the game, and say, "Boy, let's just continue on. We're gonna kick them." Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now they thought, I'm sure, that they had some players and maybe even some coaches who thought, well, we won the national championship, and we deserve a certain amount of respect, and we're going to do this or we're going to do that. I know how that goes, and that hurt them mentally. That hurt them. They thought they were better than they were, but when they had those 17 other players that are now playing in the National Football League and a quarterback that's burning the National Football League up right now, it was a totally different story. It's totally different now.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Look, trying to compete with last year's team is not going to happen. I think LSU fans knew that. And you know what? But once again, Edo, and I think that they're going to do a great job. I still, Bo Pelini playing that much man defense, it just wasn't working out. He stuck with it for so long, I think killed them ultimately. But, hey, we'll see the transition from week 1 to week 2. These guys are going to be okay. But as of competing for an SEC title, I just can't say it. But moving on here, Coach, my next team here at number 9, I believe, is South Carolina. I put South Carolina right now ahead of Ole Miss because I just like the direction of the team. I think, obviously, these two teams are interchangeable, and I think ultimately I believe Ole Miss will be a step ahead of South Carolina, and that's with Lane Kiffin. Look, they scored 35 on Florida, but they still got to have some defense. They got to find some defense somewhere, but I was very impressed with Matt Corral, the quarterback there. Remember, John Rice Plumlee was their quarterback pretty much last year, and he's a great runner. But we talked about it, Coach. Me and you both had said Lane Kiffin, the play caller, Matt Corral, fits that system he's trying to do, and boy, did he. And they got to find some defense somewhere. So that's why I put South Carolina ahead of them, because I think South Carolina, once again, played a good Tennessee team and was, look, right there till the end. They had an opportunity to win the game, and Tennessee pulled it out. So I got to go South Carolina, and then I'll have Ole Miss at number 10.
I'll buy that as well, JP. I think that those are outstanding thoughts on it, and you got to almost look at it. I don't know how you can look at it any other way.
Coach, my final ones here, just going to run through. Obviously, don't want to waste too much time. Missouri, I put them ahead of Kentucky. We'll see. I actually think, you know what, I like Kentucky. But Missouri was fairly impressive on offense. I know it was late, but once again, this is an offense that I think found a quarterback, and that's big for this. This is going to be a good enough defense. They played Alabama of all teams, and you know what, Alabama's Alabama. But Missouri, I think, is going to be okay. Eli Drinkwitz there. I like the coach. But Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt at the bottom. Hey, give the Commodores some credit, though. They were in that ball game and had a chance to win it. So, Coach, any problems with those last four teams?
No, I think they certainly could be rated that way very easily. The only I'd be maybe a little hesitant between Missouri and Kentucky. Kentucky's still a good football team. They got beat by Bo Nix last week. Is what happened. They got nixed. So I like Kentucky maybe a little bit ahead of Missouri there. I agree. I think Missouri has found a quarterback. So. We'll see what happens, but maybe Kentucky and Missouri change places.
How about it? Kentucky got nixed. I like that, Coach. That's pretty good. So, hey, look, we're going to go to a quick break, though. When we come back, we're going to be breaking down the college football games coming up. So even starting tonight with the Campbell Camels. I know everybody's excited for Campbell and Wake Forest. I'm just kidding. But we'll talk about all that, and we'll mention some high school football games going on in our area as well. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Hurricane season is upon us, and although we aim to bring you the latest news in sports, we're committed to bringing the Pensacola community the latest updates and information during the 2020 hurricane season. In collaboration with our sister stations, News Radio 92.3, AM 1620, and Cat Country 98.7, stay up to date with breaking weather news and updates on the biggest storms impacting Northwest Florida by checking our Facebook pages at Cat Country 98.7, News Radio 92.3, and ESPN Pensacola.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. We have a Friday, look, even this Friday, tonight, we have full of high school football, even some college football for you, and then rolling into Saturday and Sunday loaded with college and NFL games. So, Coach, talking about some college football here. Obviously, I do want to start with just a game tonight that folks can catch, not the Campbell Camels game against Wake Forest. I don't want to do that to folks. But BYU, Louisiana Tech, the reason I bring this up is actually BYU is now ranked. But look, they're 22 in the nation. I know it's a little bit crazy of a year. Taking on La Tech at 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Coach, the reason I bring them up, BYU has looked really good. I mean, dominating. That offensive line looked good. Everything about them has looked good. Coach, not really as much about the game as if this BYU team, because, by the way, their really toughest game, I believe, is Houston. So if this team goes undefeated with a poor schedule like that, would you be considerate of them in the college football playoff?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be in the college playoffs, but they've got a good football team, and they're to be respected. Whoever they play should be a good ball game today. Louisiana Tech is a good football team as well. So anyway, I give the edge here to BYU.
Yeah, as would I. I think they're just too good right now. But moving on, Coach, obviously Florida and South Carolina playing at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and that game will be on ESPN. Boy, I love those 11 o'clock games. Get you rolling early. Florida's a 19.5-point favorite. I actually think that's quite a few points. Even though I do have confidence in Florida, I still think this South Carolina game is going to be tough. But Florida's playing at home, back home, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. South Carolina, though, I think will not keep this interesting, but I think they'll be a little bit closer than 19.5 points. But I'll pick Florida to win the game, but I think South Carolina would cover. Coach, what say you?
That's probably a good bet right there. Unfortunately, we've got to pick against the points. Well, it's necessary. Otherwise, if we just said Florida and South Carolina, it would be easy enough just to say Florida. But given the points, I still think Florida's going to cover. I think Florida's not a game football team. I think they'll respond defensively. I think that's the real key for this in this ball game. I think they'll respond defensively and make it difficult for South Carolina to score, and Florida will score enough to cover. So I'm going to take the Gators and the cover.
Hey, I love it. I'm not going to be against that, and I hope you are right, Coach. And by the way, make no mistake, I don't think either one of us is putting any money on any of these games. So, but look, let's talk about this. Tennessee and Missouri, Coach. Tennessee's an 11-point favorite. How about that over Missouri? You know what? I would love to see this Tennessee team get it rolling. And you know what? Big win last week against South Carolina, getting off the edge there. I think it's important. At home, Tennessee right here, Coach. Missouri, you know what? I'm gonna buy this Tennessee team. I think last week was a tremendous step forward for them getting that Week 1 win. I'll pick Tennessee, and I'll pick them to cover.
You know, I'm going to do the same. I think opening now at home after a first-game win on the road, a big game. Believe me, that was a big, huge game between Tennessee and South Carolina. So I'm taking the Vols at home as well.
Coach, the next game here, Texas at TCU, or TCU at Texas, I'm sorry. Texas is a 13-point favorite after that debacle last week where they had to come back and win in overtime against Texas Tech. A team, by the way, at Texas Tech that almost lost to Houston Baptist. That's none of my business, just throwing that out there for you guys. Take it however you want it. But nonetheless, Coach, TCU lost a 3-point game to Iowa State. Had an opportunity there at the end, missed the field goal. Hey, it is what it is. Moving on. Gary Patterson. History says when Gary Patterson has a bad year, he turns around and has a good year. Well, he had a bad year last year, I believe, going 5-7. So this seems like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a good year. Now, they lost to Iowa State, but Iowa State's still a really good football team. Remember that. Brock Purdy on offense. That defense is really, really good. But nonetheless, Coach, I will say this. I'm going to throw some facts out there. Gary Patterson is 6-2 against Texas. He lives to play Texas. He's done a great job against Texas. They got their quarterback, Max Dugan, by the way, who, remember, this is a young man that had a heart condition. They fixed it. He's back out there playing for them, and he was their starting quarterback from the beginning. So, look, 13 points is a lot. To be honest with you, I'm going to pick TCU outright, and obviously, so you know what? I'm going to pick the points as well.
Well, sure, you don't turn them down. But, I'm going to take TCU as well. I think this is, and I think TCU is probably, to some extent, maybe looking ahead to this game. But I'm taking TCU as well on this. No question.
Yeah, Sam Ehlinger at Texas, no disrespect, but you give up that many points. I know Texas Tech can score, but this is a team in Texas Tech that won a 3-point ball game against Houston Baptist. I get it, but I don't at the same time. There's not buying. I've never bought into Texas, not yet. They have to go out and prove it. So, like I said, Gary Patterson, 6-2 against Texas. This is what he lives for. Jumping next here, Coach, obviously, when you look at Texas A&M and Alabama, now Alabama's a 9.5-point favorite. Texas A&M, remember, won that ball game against Vanderbilt 17-12. So interesting the way Texas A&M came out. Looks sloppy. I'm sure they'll be better this week. The only problem is you can be as good as you want. You're still rolling into Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa and have to play Alabama, who looked pretty good. I think offensively Mac Jones looked great with Waddle and all this, Devonta Smith, Forrest, all those. Najee Harris looked great. The defense is growing. I think that defense played really well because, remember, Missouri scored some points late in that fourth quarter, so the score looks a little bit different than what the game truly dictated. So, Coach, I think Alabama, and I'm going to pick them to cover. I think this could be a statement game for Saban. I don't think Jimbo and the guys with Kellen Mond at quarterback are going to have a shot in this one.
Well, Jimbo would give up anything to beat Alabama, but he's not going to do it. Both teams were looking ahead last week. You could bet Texas A&M was looking ahead to Alabama, and Alabama was looking ahead to Texas A&M over both Vanderbilt and Missouri last week. Yes, I take Alabama to cover at home, and I don't think there's any love lost between Saban and Jimbo either.
No, none. And that's the case for Jimbo and a lot of coaches, to be honest with you. Never mind. Not getting into that. You're right, though. I think Alabama rolls in this one. A roll tide, however you want to say it. But North Carolina at Boston College, the reason I bring up North Carolina and Boston College, Coach, is because we haven't seen Mac Brown and his squad since that Week 1 victory over Syracuse, which looked ugly early on. They figured it out going on to the second half, but it's been quite some time, obviously, with some COVID issues from some teams they were playing. They haven't been able to play. But, Coach, North Carolina's an 11.5-point favorite. Boston College, Jeff Hafley's done a good job trying to turn that program around. But I just think too much talent. These guys have been itching to get back on the field. I think North Carolina, I would pick them, and I would pick them and take the points with Sam Howell at quarterback as well.
I agree. I won't spend much time on this. I think North Carolina's a good football team, well coached, and they win this ball game. I think handily.
Coach, Ole Miss and Kentucky, two very intriguing teams. One team that, for Kentucky loves to grind it out a little bit. Remember they got Joey Gatewood back. Well, he's officially cleared to play along with Cade Mays at Tennessee. We didn't even mention that. That helps Tennessee as well on that offensive line, which Cade Mays was the young man that played at Georgia and started for Georgia, by the way. But Ole Miss and Kentucky, look, Ole Miss, we know they can score. They can score at will. They did a great job against Florida, just couldn't get some stops on defense. Kentucky with Terry Wilson at quarterback, the defense, a grinded-out style defense, gave Auburn some trouble there early on. Kentucky's a 7-point favorite. I tell you what, Coach, as much as I want to pick Kentucky, I like Mark Stoops. I really think this could be an opportunity for quite the statement for Ole Miss to announce their presence in the SEC after losing last week. So I'm going to pick Ole Miss outright.
Not a bad pick. In fact, I think it's a good pick, and I'm going to go with you. I think Ole Miss gained a lot from last week's experience with Florida, and I think they win. I like Kentucky as well, but I got to go with Ole Miss on this one.
Coach, Florida State and Jacksonville State. So obviously, Florida State is a 26.5-point favorite. This is obviously for Florida State. It just couldn't have got any worse after the debacle last week at Miami. The positive here, you get Jacksonville State at home, but you better show up. And James Blackman not been the answer at quarterback. They've had a lot of problems on that team, which is what we expected. But, Coach, they get an opportunity to kind of get some confidence, right the ship, figure some things out. Remember, Norvell has put a too deep on the depth chart this week in some oars. He put some oars on the depth chart, which means it could be this guy or this guy. He said basically every job is open. I want to make that very clear. And, hey, no better time than see a team like Jacksonville State. Coach, do you predict that Florida State has trouble in this game against Jacksonville State, or do they kind of figure some things out moving forward?
I think with Norvell back at home, I think Florida State's going to win the ball game, and I think they're going to go so far as to cover. I think it's going to be an all-out effort on the part of Florida State this week.
Yeah, I would think the same exact thing. I think they figure some things out, get a little bit of confidence moving forward. But Mississippi State and Arkansas, Coach, not a whole lot to say here. Look, Arkansas put up a good fight against Georgia. I think it was more Georgia beating themselves, but, hey, it is what it is. Mississippi State's a 17-point favorite. Do you see a hiccup for Mississippi State after the big win, after beating LSU?
No, I think Mississippi State goes right on the warpath, and they keep it going. I'll take Mississippi State in this ballgame.
Yes, I would too, and I'll take those points too. That's 17 points. I think they cover. So Auburn and Georgia, Coach. Georgia's a 4.5-point favorite. This game's always so fun. I love the fact that we get it early on in the SEC season here. Georgia, obviously, that vaunted defense. Bo Nix, I'm telling you, if Bo Nix, they allow him to go out and throw the football, even against this good defense, this could be really interesting. I think that Auburn has to have some way to relieve some pressure by running the football. They didn't find it last week against Kentucky, and they're not going to find it this week. It's not going to get any easier against that defensive front for Georgia either. I think this is it's a nasty game. I could see this maybe a 21-17 type ball game, but, Coach, I got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs no matter, as long as DeJuan Mathis is not at quarterback.
Where is this ball game being played?
In Athens at Georgia.
At Georgia? Well, that's a little advantage, maybe rather than a 3.5 point advantage. It may be like a 2.5 point advantage, but it is an advantage. I'm going to flip that on you. And say Auburn wins a big ball game if they do what you've been talking about and put some reliance on Nix to win it. Otherwise, Georgia will bury them with that defense.
Yeah, that's the difference here. You let your quarterback go out and be the quarterback that you expect him to be. You've got to get him an opportunity. We go back to guys like Jared Stidham and guys they've had at quarterback. They've had talent at that position, but always tend to fade away from it. And once again, I like Bo Nix. He impressed me last week. And if they allow him to go out and play his game, he's a very talented quarterback. So we'll see. You know what? It's going to be a really fun game nonetheless. And, Coach, the other side of my family hopes you're right as well. That would be great for my fiance. She would love that and make her happy, which makes me happy. So LSU Vanderbilt, Coach. LSU 18.5-point favorite against Vandy. Vandy fought tooth and nail last week against Texas A&M, who looked very lackluster. Any reason to believe LSU will have a problem with Vandy, and will they cover 18.5 points?
I don't think so. I think LSU recoups this week, and they'll cover. Yes, I'll take LSU.
And Clemson and Virginia. Clemson finally getting back out there on the field as well. This Clemson team, boy, that defensive front is as good as I've ever seen. And they've had some talent, but they are so deep. They are 3 deep at every position on that front. A lot of people are picking an upset here at Virginia. Look, I get it. Some people want to see Clemson lose. I think this Clemson team is just absolutely for real once again. Coach, any reason to believe that there is going to be a problem over in South Carolina with the Clemson Tigers this week?
Well, I'd like to meet those people who are taking Virginia in this ball game. But no, Clemson will win it and win it going away.
Yeah, you just
not much else needs to be said, really.
You just take their money, Coach. You just bet them on it straight up. No, it's look, 27.5 points. I think Clemson rolls in this one. Virginia needs a lot of help at the quarterback position offensively. Defensively, they're okay, but they were better last year. This was a good team last year, and Clemson still handled them. So, hey, that's our games for this week, Coach. And, look, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL, a couple news and notes here. We're going to talk some high school football tonight as well as some big games going on you're not going to want to miss. If you need something to do on a Friday night, go check out some of these high school games because there is some great ones tonight. We'll talk about all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text. Stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked gun pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Last week is in the books. Now it's time to review the tape and prepare for this week. Get in on all of the action with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. And this week, DraftKings has a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs. Draft your lineup and feel the sweat like never before. Every run, pass, and catch means more with DraftKings. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching the game quite like having a shot at millions of dollars in prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use code GREENIE. For a limited time, new users can get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes this week. Don't miss out on the Week 4 action. Enter code GREENIE to get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes with your first deposit. That's code GREENIE. Only at DraftKings. Make it rain. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. This Friday afternoon, God, it's good to say that. Beautiful weather outside, by the way. Get outside, open your windows up, whatever you got to do. Take some of that sunshine in. Fall seems like it's getting here, and I know it's still, upper 70s, low 80s, whatever you want to say. It's fall down here where we're from. So jumping into this, Coach, not going to waste any more time. A couple minutes left. Some high school football games going on tonight. Now, I'll run through these real quick. West Florida at Catholic. Scambia at Washington. That is the game that I will be calling for WFGX there, Channel 35 and WER3. Going to be a lot of fun to see that matchup between two vaunted teams. Tate at PHS. Boy, Pensacola High, I bet they're waiting to get back out there on the field. Nate Simmons, by the way, for PHS. The quarterback is a fantastic quarterback. I mean, this young man can do it all for PHS. It's a name to remember in case you're going to go out to that game or check it out, whoever fan you are. Northview at Escambia Academy. How about this? The north end of the county, up in my neck of the woods, Coach Wes Summerford at Northview did a great job beating Holmes County last week, but that's a big rivalry game with a private school from Alabama right over there in Atmore, so always fun to watch that game. Baker at Jay, two big rivals as usual. Navarre at Gulf Breeze. We understand how big the Beach Bowl Cup is. Rivalry that will never disappoint, and I don't think it's going to change this year. And Pace, look, the battle for the bronze helmet. Pace at Milton. Coach Lee's squad looked really good. Pace battled but lost to Navarre last week. Coach, any game in particular you're excited to watch? Because I'm going to tell you, me personally, is the game that I actually get to call tonight with Escambia at Washington, with Escambia who went to the state championship last year and a Washington team that went from 0-10 to 8-0 at one point before losing out in the playoffs. That's my team to look for. What about you, Coach?
No question. That's going to be a very, very interesting football game. Great respect for both schools. My gosh, the job they did last year, and should be an even better game this year.
No doubt. Now, quick, obviously, an NFL note here before we head out. Leonard Fournette and Chris Godwin, the running back and the wide receiver there for the Tampa Bay Bucks, has now officially been ruled out. Scotty Miller, by the way, the speedy wideout, which seems like Tom Brady's favorite target, Well, he's got a hip and groin injury. He is questionable at this point, and there's a lot of negative sides of this that are saying he probably won't play either. So, Coach, even we'll just say right now, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette being ruled out Sunday, do you believe that is going to affect the game where the Bucs could lose this game to the San Diego Chargers?
No, I think I think you're going to see a lot of two tight ends in the ball game, and maybe even some three tight ends in the ball game. Keep in mind, they have a very potent third tight end down there, along with Gronkowski, and I forget the
O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate.
Oh, Howard, yeah, and they could put three tight ends in there and give you a tremendous problem defensively to run the football, play action pass, and throwing football, having to match up with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And and remember, they have a really good defense too. But we'll see. Nonetheless, I agree with you on that statement there, Coach. But that sound means it's time for us to go as usual, Coach. We didn't get to everything. We almost got to everything today. But nonetheless, you know what? We're excited for a weekend of football, and we'll be back on Monday. But, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You bet. Look forward to it on Monday, JP.
Take care, Coach. Appreciate it. Appreciate our listeners out there. And like I said, we'll be back Monday talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
This is the Max Kellerman Show. Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio.
What's up, nerds? The Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. But first, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Oh, it's he said, he said. Is it though? I'm trying to this is the connection I'm trying to make. Watch, boys and girls, how I do this. Gather around, young children. Uncle Max has a story to tell you. That's how we do it in the media. See, Kyrie said some stuff on KD's podcast. And then LeBron said some stuff, and I believe Kyrie said it yesterday late morning, something like that. And then LeBron said something like in the afternoon. And what I'm trying to figure out is if what LeBron said is connected to what Kyrie said. Let's start from the beginning, or in the beginning. Kyrie's on Durant's Etcetera's podcast. And by the way, why is KD even having Kyrie on a podcast during the finals, right? Because anything that happens right now, anything they say is going to make waves. KD is smart in terms of building a media business. Everyone's like, media empire. Oh, stop with the empires. Not always a media empire. Right now, it's a media business he's trying to create here. He's created. He's trying to expand. Anyway, the duo was asked who would take a big shot with 10 seconds left, and Kyrie Irving said the Nets would have the luxury of not having to just rely on one guy. Here's the quote. Depends on who's hot. Quote, I don't see it as anything other than that. One thing I've always been comfortable with, and here it is, everybody, which is I felt like I was the best option on every team I've played for down the stretch. This is the first time in my career where I can be like that. Let's just call it mother sucker. Can make that shot too. Time out, Kyrie. I understand why you think you're the better option than LeBron late in the game. You're a better shooter than LeBron. And you're as good a finisher as anyone who ever lived under the rim. However, first let's look at the veracity of the statement. As though, up until now that you have KD, who's a purer shooter than LeBron, obviously, as you are, until now, you should be taking the last shot, really? Because Kirk Goldsberry, and by the way, you got to pick up Sprawl Ball. For everyone who's like, I wish I had a copy. I may have a copy of Sprawl Ball. I may get it during the commercial break and bring it just to show you on camera on ESPN News what it looks like. For those who are like, oh, Max, don't tell me about a book. That's not why I watch TV or listen to the radio. You hear about books. But this book has pictures. Not just pictures, guys, but it's like perfectly laid out so it illustrates what he's talking about with colorful, not exactly charts, but like depictions of what he's talking about.